Dear Ajahn Brahm, why do we sometimes cry uncontrollably for no apparent reason during meditation? It is because you drink too much water. It gets up to here and it has to come out. It's obvious. No, it's also sometimes you cry out of bliss. Oh, I'm enlightened at last, and so the tears come out. Oh, so that's one of the reasons, isn't it? Is that why you cried, enlightened? Sometimes it's just because you're happy. Because sometimes we get a lot of strong emotions coming up in meditation. Peace, joy, happiness, and so sometimes. And sometimes it's because you've just heard a bad joke from Ajahn Brahm. Oh, no, not that one again. So whatever it is, sometimes, if it comes, just let it cry. There was one guy here about a year or 2 years ago. Always remember him because he came to me at the interview towards the end. He said he started crying uncontrollably during the meditation, and he hadn't cried for about 25 years. Never once. This Australian guy who'd suppressed everything. It didn't mean that he had a happy life, but he was just a tough guy. Australian men don't cry. And so he kept it all in. And because he did letting go, just stop controlling things, be kind and just let these things happen. And then all these suppressed tears, they just came out. And he cried and cried and cried. He felt great afterwards. So you can see sometimes we're not allowed to cry. And because of that, we suppress some things. And sometimes when we do meditation, we let go, it just comes out. So it's just tears which you should have cried a long time ago. And so now you've got a chance to actually get that out of your system, and you're fine. So that's wonderful. Cry, and it's good stuff. Ajahn, can you explain Yonisa Manasikara? Thanks. That is a Pali word, which is, it's interesting, the two causes for being a stream winner. Do you want to be a stream winner? The first stage of enlightenment? These are the two causes. One of them is called Yonisa Manasikara, and the other one is called Paratagosa, which means the words from another, basically the words from another enlightened being who tells you what the Dhamma really is. And the other one, Yonisa Manasikara, literally means work of the mind which goes to the source. Yoni is the word for womb in Pali. And Manasikara literally means work of the mind, which goes to the source of things. So what actually goes to the source? What actually goes to the center? Remember that simile of the lotus opening to go to the center of the lotus. That is mindfulness and kindness, otherwise known as kindfulness. That takes you into the center of things. That gets you into the deepness of your mind, the source of who you think you are. So that is what we do. We use this meditation to go right into the center, and when you go into those centers, that's the jhanas. And you have the jhanas, you have experience of what it's actually like to go right inside. And number two, the words of another to explain to you, give you some framework for understanding what these are. And with those two together, that is the gunpowder. That's the words of another, your understanding of Dhamma. And the match is your jhana. Because that's what it means. Jayati means actually to burn. So the jhana and flames, it's that, and etymologically, it's got a connection together. So, the gunpowder. You've got enough gunpowder, you've learned enough Buddhist teachings, and the flame, the jhanas, they come together. Boom! And there you're enlightened. So that's the only thing, Manasikara. As I was meditating, I soon realized that I wasn't breathing. I was so scared that I stopped meditating almost immediately. In all honesty, it was horrifying. Would one feel the same before passing away? No. Before passing away, you're breathing. After you passed away is when you don't breathe. So that's what it's... Look, you haven't passed away yet. We call these things near-death experiences. You had an NDE. You weren't breathing. It wasn't really an NDE. It was just a scary experience. Look, I have to tell this every retreat. I'm sure I've told this already. I teach hundreds of retreats. Never once has anybody died in my retreat. And I don't intend to spoil my 100% record now. So you are not going to die. I guarantee 100%. And if you do die, well, you can't actually tell me off then, can you? Really? So I say you can't tell me. Yeah, Mummy said I can't die. So you will not die. What happens? You are actually still breathing. But you're so peaceful you can't notice it. You're watching something else. But you're breathing very, very softly. Your engine doesn't need any gas, so it doesn't need much oxygen. Let the body do what it needs to do. It is fine. But the thing is, we react. We have the stupid idea that if we don't breathe, it must mean we're dying or dead. You are not dying. You're not dead. You're just being calm, that's all. So next time that happens, stop interfering. Stop messing around. This is what's supposed to happen. You've worked so hard to get there. I've taught you hour after hour to get there, and you get there, and what happens? You blow it all. Oh, why'd you do that? Anyway, is this experience similar to that? What would happen if I continue with the meditation? If you continue with the meditation, you get very, very peaceful. I experienced beautiful stars, lights in an infinite space once in the past. It was awesome. Unlike this, which is frightening. May I know the difference and which one is the deeper state of meditation? One comes before the other. If you'd have just let that breath just disappear, forget about your body. The body's just disappearing. Let it go. Bye-bye, body. And go into the mind. And in that mental world, then you see all the stars and the beautiful lights and the infinite space and have a great, wonderful time. You go to Nimitta land. Nimitta land is very, very beautiful. But you can't go to Nimitta land when you just got all this stuff worrying about your body and what's going on with it. So next time that happens, it's par for the course. Leave it alone. Don't worry about it. You're fine. You will not die. Ajahn Brahm says so. So you can just have a bit of trust and faith. Just let the body do what the body's going to do and go to the mind. Then you'll have a wonderful time. Dear Ajahn, all relationships in lay life are based on give and take. That's right. The wife gives, the husband takes. Or is it the other way around? Or is it that way around? Do you agree with that? Yes, says the wife. All relationships in lay life are based on give and take or dependency. Please advise, is there a way to change relationship into an unconditional love without expectations? Do monks have relationships? What do they look like? Yeah, I have a great relationship with a teddy bear. And we never argue. The teddy bear, it just sits there and is very happy when I pay attention. When I don't pay any attention at all, the teddy bear doesn't complain. Now that's the sort of relationship we really want. So, with the relationships in life, you've heard me say this before, the most important thing in a relationship, it's not about yourself, and it's not sacrificing yourself to the other. So when you're in a relationship, you must never think of yourself. And you must never think of your partner. Instead, you think of us. You're in it together. So it's all about us in the relationship. Not me, not him, not her, but us. And if you start thinking of yourself, that's selfishness. If you start thinking of your partner, you're just giving too much, which means that you just burn out after a while. But if it's us, you're in it together, it's the third way. It's not being selfish, it's not being selfless, it's being us together. So remember, it's all about us in a relationship. Any problems, our problems. Trouble is in a relationship when something goes wrong, oh, it's my fault. Or in a relationship, my husband's fault. You wouldn't believe who I married. I don't know why I married him. I should have been warned first of all. It should have come with like a health warning, like on a packet of cigarettes. No, it's no another person's fault. If there's any problem in the marriage, whose fault is it? Our fault. So we work it out together. And then there's always a solution. So that's with relationships. Dear Ajahn Brahm, I saw a light sometimes, but I'm not sure if it's a light coming through the windows. But it's accompanied by a powerful force that hits me and remains in my ears, head somewhere. Metta. Where's the windows? They're high up. Very little light can come through these windows. So that light must be coming from somewhere else. That must be the nimitta. And it comes with a powerful force that hits me and remains in my ear's head somewhere. That means somebody has brushed you when they were walking past, hit you on the head, wake up, whatever it was. No, as long if it's usually nimittas come, the first time you see light, sometimes so many people doubt. They think, oh, this can't be a light. I'm not in that type of meditation yet. But a lot of times it is. You're all good people. You have good enough minds. You'll see some lights from time to time. And it's just natural. But usually they come up too early and they're just not really the big ones. So just carry on doing the letting go. Just be aware and be kind. You can't go wrong by doing kindfulness. And eventually these lights come up. They're really, really strong. Usually they shouldn't have a physical force to them, but just a very powerful emotional force. Maybe another day I'll give a talk about nimittas. Wow, this is the best question I've ever read. This is so deep. Well, whoever asked this question is already enlightened. Amazing. Well done. At least somebody can ask a proper question. How can you love a partner without attachment and yet still have them as a partner at the same time? Thanks. Why do you ask me? I'm a monk. I became a monk to get rid of all that sort of stuff. So I didn't have to worry about marriage and relationship stuff. And now I'm being a monk. People ask me as if I'm the expert. What would I know? Aren't you supposed to have experience before you know these things? So how would I know this? Nevertheless, even though I don't know what I'm talking about, this is how you can love a partner without attachment, still have them as a partner at the same time. You know, when you first get married, you know, there's a lot of, you don't fall in love, you fall in lust a lot of the times. You know, you're hot on each other. But there's an intimacy there as well. As you get older and more uglier, then you have the opportunity of the relationship changing to something different, you know, the really close friend, when the love is not really just sensual, but it's more like intimate, getting to know one another, being a really, really close friend. Well, you call it in Buddhism the Kalyana Mitta, the good friend. When you know each other so well, and they know you, you can literally say to them, darling, the door of my heart is open to you. No matter what you ever do in life. You know, spent so much time together, we've gone through so much. You know, you're like a brother, a sister. So it becomes a much nicer relationship when it really is, you're not expecting anything from the partner. You just open the door of your heart to them. They're a good friend, a confidant, someone who can give you good advice, someone you can be truthful to. And that's when I like to ask partners to go to that stage, to number one, open the door of your heart to each other, and number two, give each other this wonderful gift of amnesty. You can tell me whatever you like, darling, your most darkest, deepest secrets. As long as you tell me the truth, I'll always welcome you, never scold you, never punish you, no matter what you've ever done in your whole life. So you can actually open up and be truthful to me. So there's one person you can trust, that you can say anything and you will not be judged or criticized. Someone to open up your darkest secrets to, which is a wonderful form of love when you can actually do that. Because we all want to do that. We all want to have somebody who can really understand us. Yeah, we're not perfect. We do all sorts of stupid, wrong, bad things, and weird stuff goes through our minds sometimes, but it's nice to be able to tell someone, knowing that they love us so much, they won't judge us, they won't scold us, they won't punish us. You can just open up to them. That's getting a bit of type of love. So that's how you can love the partner without attachment, because you know, the non-attachment comes when you open the door of your heart to your partner, no matter what they ever do. And when you can actually be trusting to them, to give them honesty. You can say anything to me. And just like Ajahn Brahm, I just say, very good. You can just tell me you have an affair with my sister. And just like Ajahn Brahm, he will say, very good. I just... Now, in other words, you can actually be honest. As long as you're honest, there'll be amnesty. So there'll be truthfulness. Because when there's truthfulness, then there's a really strong relationship. But when there's lies, why do we lie? Because we're afraid of telling the truth. The old story was, there was a man, I don't know, I told this, I know, on Thursday in a talk at the law school. I don't know if I told it here. The man who was being tried for a murder case in a jurisdiction where they still had the death penalty. And he was obviously telling the lies, not telling the truth under oath. And the judge warned him. He said, don't you realize the penalty for perjury, for telling lies under oath, is very severe? And the defendant on the murder charge says, yes, I know the penalties for perjury are very severe, but they're far less than the penalty for murder. Which is why he would lie. And then that little story shows why people lie, because the penalty for telling the truth is far worse than the penalty for lying in a marriage or a relationship. That's why we should change that. So as long as you tell me the truth, darling, there'll be no penalty. Then it goes to that next level. So that, your whole purpose is, just want people to be happy, just like in the Metta Sutta. Whatever living beings they may be, whether they're weak or small, may they all be happy. So your whole purpose in life is for your husband to be happy. And I say the acid test of that, because there's more girls here on this retreat, that's why I'm focusing on this. The acid test of this, imagine if after this retreat, you go home and you find there's a note from your fiancé or from your husband. And he says, darling, I've just gone over to the Gold Coast to have a dirty weekend with your best friend. I'm having wonderful sex with her. How would you feel if that was your husband? Would you be upset? Or would you have this wonderful loving kindness thing? Oh, I'm so happy that my husband is having an even greater time with my best friend than he ever had with me. Oh, just to know how much my husband is enjoying himself and how happy he is. That gives me so much joy and happiness. Because my whole purpose in life, I just want my husband to be happy. May he be Could you do that? If you could do that, you've taken loving kindness to the point of non-attachment. You just want the other person to be happy and well. I have a habitual fear feeling of being unloved. Today in meditation, I breathed in love and breathed out fear, and my body relaxed. Is love essentially about a relationship to the process we experience internally? Why are all these questions today about love and relationships? What have you been doing in the last couple of days? Oh, you've got to put CCTV cameras in people's rooms. What they're going up to. That's really good. You breathe in love and breathe out fear. Actually, when you do the breath meditation, sometimes you can actually do these things with the breath. You can breathe in a positive quality and breathe out a negative quality. Sometimes I like to say, breathing in peace. Breathe out, let go. Breathe in peace. Breathe out, let go. Or you can make up your own little words, what you breathe in, what you breathe out. So breathe in love is brilliant. Breathe out fear is great. And your body does relax, so does your mind. And is love essentially about a relationship to the processes we experience internal? Love is your relationship to whatever you're experiencing right now. Whether it's your fiancé, whether it's your breath, or whether it's a teddy bear, or just whether it's yourself. Open the door of your heart to this moment, no matter what it is. It's the relationship to whatever you're experiencing right now. Even if you've got a cough, you open the door of your heart to the cough. Allow the cough to be. And if you open the door of the heart to it, it gets less. So you don't try and control things. In a relationship, if one partner is trying to control the other, it really is a difficult and painful relationship. The same if you're trying to control your breath or control your mind, that's a very difficult relationship. Have you been in relationships where someone is trying to control you? Now you know what the breath feels like, or the mind feels like. Have you ever been in a relationship where people just love you for who you are? A lot of times that's like a mother or a father. And that sort of relationship feels so happy, so content, so relaxed. So if you can do that to your meditation object, no matter what it is, whatever you're experiencing in this moment, have this beautiful openness of heart. I just love you for who you are. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to say good, bad, or whatever. I just love you for who you are in this moment. You have a good relationship with your body and a good relationship with your mind. If you can do that, then you have a good relationship with yourself, a good relationship with life, a good relationship with whoever. Bliss arises when letting go happens. It's delightful, delicious, bright, but no intense light, just intense bliss. Is that a substitute for light, or is light going to occur later? That's good enough. Wouldn't everyone else, people reading that saying, oh, I wish that was me. I haven't had any bliss at all week. I just got bored out of my skull. When is bliss going to arise? I'll tell you, bliss does arise during the retreat. If it doesn't arise during the retreat, it will arise when you go home. Free at last. I don't think I know what it is. Bliss. Oh, yes. No, get it when it's here. So yes, bliss is good enough. So that happens, enjoy it. Forget about the lights. They will come later, but bliss is good enough. Dear Ajahn, before the Buddha passed away, he gave the monks some instructions, of which one, to cover his body with layers of cotton, gold. The ceremony had to be just like a great king's passing on, and to place his body in a certain direction. May you kindly elaborate on this? I can't, I wasn't there. I don't know why I did it. The Buddha does not advocate the practice of rites and rituals, but why did he instruct the monks to do that? Please kindly correct me if I have misinterpreted. Thank you. There's really some of the things you read, the Dhamma, the teachings, the Four Noble Truths, and talks about meditation and all those other stuff. You can always rely upon that, but some of the other details they have about such things, and that's in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta. And if you ask people like Ajahn Sujato and Ajahn Brahmali, who spent hours on the computer figuring out what was authentic and what wasn't authentic teaching to the Buddha, that's one of the suttas which they all say is, a lot has been added. It's called hagiography. Hagiography is when you have a teacher and you just embellish everything they do or they say. And because you want to build up your teacher as being better than the other teacher of your friends. And so because of that, there's a lot of embellishment, exaggeration, and all sorts of other stuff. I saw that happening with Ajahn Chah. There was this one time, it was one of the Poya days, of full moon nights during the rains retreat, when people would go to the temple to listen to a Dhamma talk from Ajahn Chah. But this was during the rains retreat, and so this evening the rain was pouring down, and somebody was going in a car to Wat Pah Pong, Ajahn Chah's monastery, and when they just entered the monastery grounds, they got stuck in the mud and they couldn't go any further. Wondering what to do, they saw out from the forest came this figure of a monk, and they looked through the window. It was Ajahn Chah, who pushed their car out of the mud, even though his roads were getting soaked and spattered with mud. And he pushed their car so it could actually get to the hall to listen to the talk. And they thought, that is a great monk, someone who's not so conceited that they see a layperson, their car is stuck, they will give a push. And so they were so pleased that they were going to see a monk who didn't mind getting himself dirty and wet. And when they went into the hall, they were even more pleased because Ajahn Chah was sitting in the hall, perfectly dry, with no mud on him. Wow, psychic power, a real one. They'd seen it, the whole family had seen it. Ajahn Chah was in the hall, so talking to the monks. And he must have noticed with his powers that a car was coming in and got stuck, and he used his psychic body to push the car so they could get there. This was real. And that story went like wildfire around the city, a real psychic power of Ajahn Chah. But the true story was Ajahn Chah had a cousin who was a novice who looked totally like him. And It was him who did it. It was dark. The rain was pouring down. You don't know who you're seeing through the windscreen with all the water dripping off it. And he told him, no, it wasn't him, it wasn't me, because I was a novice. I wasn't in the meeting for the monks. I was a novice. I was just going there. I saw the car, so I gave it a push, that's all. And even though he said that, and I know these monks, he told me that many times. Yeah, it was me, I did it. It was Ajahn Paitun. I did that. But they never agreed to that. They wanted so much that their famous teacher, Ajahn Chah, did a psychic power, that is it. So that's called hagiography. You know, we embellish things, you know, in stories. So that's, you've got to be very careful. Even that biography of Ajahn Mun, you know, that is highly embellished. When it was first written, the person who actually wrote it in Thai, you know, they questioned him about that. And he said, is that, you know, what was actually in there? He said, no, that's not what's really in there. I just added what people like to hear. So this is just what happens when you tell a story about someone. It always gets bigger in the telling. So that, I think, doesn't make any sense to me, that the Buddha would be wrapped in cotton and gold, I think many, many layers. You just wouldn't do that for anybody. Maybe you just do a special little ceremony. But that's totally against the character, you know, of the Buddha and of being a monk, first and foremost. And the ceremony had to be just like a great king's passing on. Again, you know, why would you do that? And the body placed in a certain direction, again, you wouldn't do that. From that time on, they always say, even the tradition, whether it's in Thailand, Sri Lanka, Burma, if you've got a Buddha statue, it must always be facing east. Have you heard that before? Our Buddha statue in Bodhinyana Monastery is facing west. Ajahn Jacaro put that there. It's not my fault. But after he put that there, about 2 or 3 years later, we had some of the Thai monks come over. And this was the opportunity for our Thai disciples, you know, the one who come to our monastery and feed us, the Thais, they all came to see this monk. And that's one of the first things they said, can you please, you know, tell Ajahn Jacaro, you know, that he's made a big mistake. The Buddha statue here is facing west and not, it should be facing east. And one of the disciples of Ajahn Chah said, don't worry. If the Buddha didn't like facing west, he'd turn around by himself. And that was the end of the discussion, which meant it's still facing west after all these years, and obviously we've been very successful, and that's a very powerful hall. It doesn't matter which way the Buddha statue, which way is that facing? I think about south, isn't it? South. And the other one over there is facing west. So it doesn't really matter where it's facing. So that's why it's a bit really out of character to actually, so basically we don't know whether that's true or not. Dear Ajahn, every time when I meditate using the mindfulness and letting go methods to the best of my efforts, I end up feeling relaxed but like falling into sleep mode. Next meditation, not meditation mode, even though I am not sleepy at all when starting the meditation session. Kindly advise, thank you. Okay, now you're letting go. That is meditation mode, relaxed. A lot of time people have meditated with force before and they mistake meditation with concentration, which you can't maintain for all that long. So great, you're actually letting go, you're becoming relaxed. Now you had enough mindfulness, but not enough of the kindness in this meditation. Be kinder. I already mentioned when you smile, when I smiled when I was pulling that oar, it was much easier and I had much more fun. Whatever I do in life, I always try and put fun into it. You know, see me messing around, you know, being playful, whatever I do. Sometimes in this month, so we've had a race to the door of the cottage because he likes to open the door for me, but once I realized I had a chance, so I ran and beat him and I could open the door for him. I do crazy sadhus. This evening I did, before the chanting, a 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4, yo-so. Now when I do things like that, you can see how much happiness and energy it puts into whatever I have to do. So whatever you're doing, when you make it playful, you get much more energy and you don't get so bored and sleepy. So if you are doing meditation, put some energy and effort into it. Energy just means, being a bit playful. So look, instead of sitting in the same way, sit backwards, sit the other way round when you're answering questions. What that would mean is just get some energy up. If you're really getting that dull, and this part of the trick, I haven't taught you some more methods of doing walking meditation. First method of doing walking meditation, to get some energy up. As I already mentioned with the breath, you can do sort of breathing in peace, breathing out let go, or breathing in love, breathing out fear. When you're doing the walking meditation, left step, say to yourself, I will die. Right step, that's for sure. I will die, that's for sure. In Thai, die, nair, die, nair. In Bahasa Indonesia or Malaysian, mati, pasti, mati, pasti, mati, pasti. I don't know in Sinhalese. There's probably some long word. But anyway, you get the idea. I will die, that's for sure. I will die, that's for sure. It makes it really interesting. Because what happens, I will die, that's for sure, I will die, that's for sure. First of all, you think it's a joke. Next, you realize this is serious. Then you have your fear. I'm too young to die. But you carry on walking. I will die, that's for sure, even though you're a bit scared. And you soon go through the fear. I will die, that's for sure. What are you attached to anything for? You're totally free, nothing to worry about. You don't have to worry about husbands or wives or kids. You're going to die. You don't have to worry about finances or sicknesses. You're going to die anyway. And you get detached so easily. So after a while, you're just walking backwards and forwards without a care in the whole world. I will die, that's for sure. Oh, what bliss. That's what it feels like. So you can try that. If that doesn't work, you can not do the ordinary walking meditation. You've done that and you get bored. This is Australia, so do culturally adaptive walking meditation, which means you stand at the end of the path on the red carpet and you put your hands like this, like a kangaroo, and you don't walk, you hop. Hop to the end of the path, then you turn around and you hop back. And then you do that. It's called kangaroo walking meditation. And I challenge every one of you to do that at least once. Number one, it will bring you some energy. You won't get bored at all. And anyone who sees you will burst out laughing. And you create so much happiness and energy in the meditation hall. So try that. Kangaroo walking meditation. It's only taught in Jhana Grove in Australia. Innovating the teachings of the Buddha. So that actually works. You've got a bad leg, so you can just hop on one leg. Or if you like, if you haven't done walking meditation, you get your wheelchair in here, roll onto one side, turn around, and roll back again. And do that. Do wheelchair walking meditation. Great. Good fun. So in other words, if you play around a little bit, have that fun, you're actually engaging, putting a bit of energy, lightness, you're putting joy into every moment. And when you do that, you start meditating, and straight away you've got that same sort of mind. You don't get dull anymore. So kindness, yeah, but put some joyfulness in there, some more kindness. People know how to be mindful, but they don't have enough kindness. Increase the kindness, and then you don't fall asleep. Oh, this is lovely, I'm having fun. So otherwise you just get bored. Thanks for helping move my mindfulness from grindfulness. Yeah, I like that, grinding. Grindfulness to kindfulness. Are renunciation, letting go, making peace, being gentle, being kind, caring, and compassionate all the same? Yes. If so, what is it? It is renunciation, letting go, making peace, being gentle, being kind, caring, and compassionate. Exactly the same. So you know that as a feeling. These are just labels which point to the thing. If you know what the thing is, you don't need the label anymore. You have the signpost and it points to a certain direction. Once you've got to the direction, you don't need the signposts anymore. Dear Venerable and fellow retreatants, please accept my sincerely apologies for the occasional bursts of coughs, thus breaking the sound of silence and disturbing your otherwise peaceful meditation. No, your coughs are important. They wake people up. Without those coughs, they'll be sleeping all the time. Thank you so much. Coughs are okay. It's the story of Ajahn Brahm when we used to live, when I was a young monk in Thailand, another when I was a young monk in Thailand story. The villagers in the northeast, when they had a party, they had a party. They didn't do anything by halves. Usually went on for 3 days. So about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, they got tired, they went to sleep. When they woke up, they started again, just where they left off. That was their parties. So their parties went to about 2 o'clock in the morning. So we didn't get any sleep. They had these ghetto blasters. Now, it's like listening to something in the monastery, because it's a kilometre, 2 kilometres away, but it was really loud. So no way we could get any sleep. Because, 2 o'clock they'd stop, and maybe you'd try and find some sleep. At 3 o'clock, the bell went for the morning meeting. So, that was not enough sleep. So we asked the headman of the village, can you please stop at 1 o'clock? Give us a couple of hours at least. He said, no, this is our tradition. We go to about 2. He wouldn't listen to us. But we thought he would listen to Ajahn Brahm, because Ajahn Brahm is the big boss. So we sent a delegation to see Ajahn Brahm. Can you please tell the local village head to stop playing the music by 1 o'clock? We're not getting any sleep in the whole monastery. And that's when Ajahn Brahm said, monks, it's not the noise that disturbs you. It's you who disturb the noise. The trouble with Ajahn Brahm, he was always right, but it never really helped. It was true. It's not the noise disturbs you. It's you who disturb the noise. Because what happens? Somebody coughs. It's over in a second. But we think, who was that? Why did they do that? We should have screening. Like at some of the airports, this infrared screen, so you can actually see people when they come in. If they've got any sort of disease or any sort of fever, they actually send them back to Singapore. They can't come in here because we only want healthy people here. Anyone who coughs, you have 3 coughs and that's it, you're out. Now so we think like that. And so the cough has ended a long time ago. But the echo of negativity in our mind lasts for minutes, sometimes days. So that's called disturbing the sound. The sound is just a second. It doesn't make much impact at all. But our reaction is much louder than the cough. That's called disturbing the sound. So when the cough finishes, stop thinking about it. It's in the past, let it go. Tell my terrible joke. Yeah, let's go off it. I told this joke on many retreats, but it's a very, very scary joke. Actually, you better put your hands up, because most of you may have heard it's the coffin story about the ghost coffin. Have you heard it? Put your hand up. A lot of you haven't. Okay, you're going to get it then. This man, he went to the temple one evening to listen to Dhamma talk. It went on longer than expected, so that when he walked home, it was very dark and very lonely. And the only way back to his house was along a road past the cemetery, the spooky graveyard. And in any city, I've noticed this, in the ordinary streets, the lampposts giving light are usually quite close together, but when you go past a graveyard or a park, they're further apart, making it more dark and more dangerous. And even though he wasn't really someone who believes in all this superstitious nonsense like ghosts, even so, anybody, when they walk past the graveyard at night time when it's really quiet, everyone gets a little bit scared. And he got to halfway past the graveyard and nothing had happened. He was over halfway, so he felt quite safe. But a minute later, after passing the halfway mark, he could swear that someone or something was following him. He could hear steps, what he thought, behind him. And so automatically, like everyone else, he started walking a little bit faster. And as he walked faster, whatever it was behind him also went faster. He didn't want to look back. You know what it is, we'd rather not see. But he heard it so clearly, he couldn't resist turning back. And as soon as he saw it, he wished he never have looked, because what he saw really made him frightened. It wasn't a person following him. It wasn't a ghost following him. What was following him was a coffin, vertical, bump, 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 following him along the road, with bits of dirt falling off, covered with cobwebs. This was the spookiest, most supernatural thing he'd ever seen. And so what did he do? He started running as fast as he possibly could. But even though he ran at top speed, bump, 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 the coffin came running after him, running as fast as he could, bump, bump, bump. The worst thing was, the coffin was catching up on him. He could run faster. He was so lucky his house was very close by. He opened the gate and ran in along the garden path. And he got to the door just as the coffin got to the garden gate. He took out his keys and he dropped them. And the coffin bumped right through the gate. He was in big trouble. He picked up the first key. Bump, bump, bump. The coffin was almost at him. Put it in the lock. It was the right key. Opened the lock, opened the door, ran in, slammed the door just as the coffin came right next to the front door. He was safe. He was inside. And he was sweating. He wiped the sweat, but bump! As the coffin started hitting the door, bump! With supernatural force. The hinges started to give way. The wood started to split. Bump! It was only a matter of seconds, and that coffin would break through the door. He ran up the stairs to the only room with a lock, which was the toilet. Bump! As he got to the top of the stairs, the door gave way. And there was a coffin looking around for him, and he saw him at the top of the stairs. He bolted into the toilet, locked the door. Bump, 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 bump. As a coffin came up the stairs. Bump! Against the toilet door. It could break down the front door. The toilet door was no hope. Bump, bump, bump! And it was through. He had no place to go. He was there spread-eagled against the wall, just facing the coffin with nothing between him and certain death or more. And he just reached for something. There was a bottle on the shelf, and he threw it at the coffin. And the bottle broke, and this liquid went all over the coffin. And the coffin stopped. It was cough mixture. Cough mixture. Cough mixture stops the coffin. So, Sabrina, please keep your cough mixture In case you see a coffin coming somewhere. That's a terrible joke, but I love it. And even though you heard it before, it's fun, isn't it? You know, just you really get into it. Bump, bump, bump. Anyway, that's the coffin. Thank you for your kind guidance on this retreat. I enjoy seeing smiling, friendly faces and kind gestures from fellow retreatants, people opening the door for others, pouring drinks for others, and even passing paper napkins for me. My meditation is getting nicer every day. Thank you. Excellent. Because sometimes if your little acts of kindness, they boost your meditation. They bring happiness. They bring joy. And when you meditate, it's so much easier if you're inspired, if you have happiness and joy, because other people are being compassionate to you. It's easy for you to be compassionate to them and being compassionate to your own body and mind. So well done. Little acts of kindness throughout the day really, really help. Dear your emptiness, you said it's likely for one person in this retreat to get some kind of jhana. If we are 60 meditators who meditate during 5 sessions for 9 days, that would mean the chance to get into jhana during one session is 1 in 2,700. Is it really so rare? It's awesome. Somebody has been thinking too much. Working out the probabilities. Okay, if you really, really want to, then we can have we can do some betting on who's likely to get jhana. So we'll have odds for Dania, odds for everybody here on the retreat to who gets jhana, and I'll sort of give you the results afterwards. And we can actually work out odds, and we can make some money for the nuns' monastery by making a betting shop. Why is kindness the same as letting go? Because kindness is not controlling. This is a nice question. When you're kind, you don't control something. It's the opposite of controlling. So when you're really kind, you're kind to, say, a cat, you're kind to a rabbit. You're not trying to tell it what to do or how to be a rabbit, how to be a cat. Cat knows how to be a cat. You're just being kind to it. You've got a lovely dog. This is what dogs do. You're kind. You let it be. That's what kindness is. I gave the example of my grandma feeding me whatever I liked whenever I wanted it. She was just kind to me. She wasn't trying to control me. She'd let me go. And, I was responsible for myself. I knew if I ate too much. So, that's what kindness is. You let people be. So you let your mind, if a mind wants to go somewhere, off you go, I'm kind to you. If it wants to come back, you're kind. So kindness is another form of letting go. It's exactly the same. But it's much more fun than, sometimes just letting go is a bit cold. But kindness is like this beautiful warmth. It's more fun. It's letting go with fun, is kindness. Dear Ajahn, if my memory is correct, Saturday the 6th of April, this Saturday, will be the death anniversary of Tara, otherwise known as Nakama. She was in South Australia. Could you kindly ask the monks of the monastery to do some chanting for her on the 6th at Dana time? Yeah, I can do that. We can chant for anybody. But especially if somebody, she really did a lot for everybody, so we can do some chanting for her on the 6th. Dear Ajahn, watching the bed, but by the way, she didn't die on a meditation retreat. She died of cancer after many, many years. Basically, old age. Watching the breath means when in-breath happens, name it as in-breath, and when out-breath happens, name it as out-breath. Or when in-breath and out-breath happens, know that it's happening without naming it. It's much better not to name things. Because if you're naming it, then actually when you name something, you're not actually knowing it. You're watching the name, watching the label. You're not watching the thing itself. So this is that old story. Lao Tzu went for a walk with his disciple. There was noble silence. You couldn't speak when you went on a walk with the great master. But they saw this incredible sunset, and the disciples said, "Oh, what a beautiful sunset." He broke the rule. When they got back to the monastery, Lao Tzu said, "That man is not allowed to go on a walk with me ever again. Never." And when his friend said, "That's a bit harsh. He only said one sentence." Well, what's wrong with speaking? And this is where Lao Tzu made a very powerful point. When I heard this, I understood what silence really is. He said, when my disciple said, "What a beautiful sunset," he wasn't watching the sunset anymore. He was watching the words. And that's so true. When you think, "What a beautiful sunset," or when you note in-breath, you're not watching the in-breath anymore. You're watching the noting. And there's a great difference there. When he said, "What a beautiful when he thought, "What a beautiful sunset," or said, "What a beautiful sunset," you weren't watching the sunset anymore. You were watching the words. It's so different. So, just know the breath without giving it a name. Dear Ajahn, how does the Korean monk see the meditation practice in Jhana Grove compared to Korea? There we go, he's given his answer. Ha 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 ha. Just great. It's Juwayo.
Right, yes.
Juwayo, yeah. You know what Juwayo means? The only word which I learned in many languages. It means ho ho ho. Bahomahondai. Bagus. Very good. Juwayo. So if you want to give him some praise, just tell him, "Oh, you are Juwayo monk." Can you please talk about right view and how we can cultivate this in our daily lives as a lay person? Okay, what is right view? Right view is what leads to peace, contentment, and harmony. That's right view. Wrong view is what leads to arguments. Remember that story, the chicken and the duck? I won't say it here. You know, quack, quack, and the wife said, "Oh, that's a chicken." And the husband said, "No, that's a duck." Eventually, when they had an argument, the husband said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I think you're right. That is a chicken." And it went quack, quack again. That is called right view. People say, "That's wrong view. That's a duck. That can't be a chicken. It goes quack, quack." No, right view is what causes peace and harmony. So, if your husband says it's a chicken, okay? If he says it's a duck, it's a duck. Why do you want to have an argument on stupid things? So a lot of time we have arguments over the most stupid things. So that is not right view. Right view is what leads to peace, to tranquility. It stops problems rather than making more problems. So that's how we can cultivate right view in our daily lives. Of course, it's much more than that, but that's all you're getting this evening. Can a person who doesn't have a right livelihood, some Ajiva, enter jhana state by practicing sammasankappa, letting go alone? Example, a drug dealer. Can a drug dealer get jhana? What are you doing in your life? That's the question. And don't ever think that these questions are anonymous, because you all actually wrote something or down, or you actually write on your departure forms. And I can very easily to compare their handwriting and find out who wrote these questions. It's very difficult, because if you're a drug dealer, or you do these really, really bad livelihoods where you exploit other people or hurt them, it's bound to leave a residue inside of you, a residue of not feeling good about yourself, feeling, "Oh, I'll just hurt other people." It's very hard to let that go. You're all good people. It's hard enough to let your past go as it is. Imagine if you've really, really done some bad things. It's very difficult to let the past go. You can do it. Like Angulimala could let go, having killed so many people and get into jhana and become enlightened. It's possible, but it just makes it harder. That's why it's really good, if you possibly can, to have a right livelihood. And it really doesn't matter what type of livelihood it is, just generally. It's what you do with your livelihood. You could be working in an office for Amnesty International and be a pain in the ass for everybody in the office. You're making it wrong livelihood, just because you're creating so much pain and stress with all the people you work with. So sometimes it's not the job or the organization you work with, but what you make of that job. Even working in the Buddhist Fellowship in Singapore, is that right livelihood? It depends on how you work and how you relate to all the other people in the office. And sometimes it can be wrong livelihood, as you know, when it's backbiting or whatever. So It's not just the type of work you do, it's how you do the work. It's more important for right livelihood. So even if you're a bus driver or you're a doctor, now you're doing your doctoring. So whatever you do, even being a monk or being a nun, is being a nun right livelihood or wrong livelihood? It depends how you behave as a nun. Is there any relationship between our previous lives and how we progress in the meditation practice? Yeah, a little bit, but not that much. Sometimes people got natural skill in meditation from past life. Dear Ajahn, how can we cultivate gratitude with much metta? How you cultivate gratitude is number one, let go of all the things which someone did wrong. And when you've only got the things they did right, then you can't help having gratitude. You know, having gratitude to the monks who built this place for you. And it's amazing just how many monks worked hard on this place. But we don't really enjoy it, we did it for you. You know, in Buddhism, you're supposed to support the monks. But actually, it's the other way around in Australia. We work for you, support you. Now, Dania, who just doesn't get any pay for being caretaker, she does this out of love and care. Bianca, who cooked all the food this morning and manages this retreat, she doesn't get any money. She loses money by coming here. Isn't this wonderful? And this whole place, whoever organizes it, looks after it, the gardening work which is done here, you get prisoners which come up from Karnat to help paint and look after the place. Isn't this incredible? Have this wonderful facility. It's not just one of the best retreat centers in the world. The way it came about is one of the best ways. You know, just a lot of care, and the way it's always managed. No, we don't charge anything. It's all done by donations. Of course, never enough. But, you know, we get by. So you have beautiful sense of gratitude. I've got gratitude to my parents for bringing me up, gratitude to my teachers, gratitude to an Ajahn Chah, gratitude to people who fed me today. So when you develop gratitude, you get so much happiness and so much joy. It's the opposite of the fault-finding mind. The fault-finding mind is, yeah, you didn't give me enough of what I like today. Yeah, I mean, you've been asking me too many silly questions about relationships. What would I know about that? Yeah, rah, 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 rah. And that's the negative mind. So don't get into that at all. As soon as you start getting negative, press the delete button. Stop complaining. And instead we just appreciate all the really, really goodness and hard work of all the people, including you, coming here to meditate, spending 9 days of your life, and you were all busy, spending 9 days to come here. Or, what was the name? Weng Ni, who donated her teddy bear. That teddy bear was supposed to be for her nephew in Sydney. But when she realized how important it was here, she donated the teddy bear so everybody could hold the teddy bear and hug it and actually get some kindness. What a wonderful gift that is. So I remember all those people, and that gives me such joy. When you start developing gratitude, sometimes you're faking it, you're making it happen, but soon it gets so beautiful, you really get into gratitude practice. All the, the wonderful people who've looked after you and served you. Isn't it amazing? And that gives you happiness. So if you start the meditation, instead of just watching the breath or letting go or blah, 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 think of all the kindness which has gone into this place. All the people who've really sacrificed themselves to look after you. And you get so much gratitude, sometimes it brings tears, literally. You feel so wonderful. Wow, what an amazing thing is. A place like this, teachers, parents, people looking after you. Where on earth can you get a retreat centre like this in the world? And you know, what is the booking bond? $225. Now I'll be going to Brisbane, and I was all sponsored, but you know, somebody sent some money and said, you book a hotel for yourself, because you know, the airport, the only flight into one of these islands off Queensland coast is in the morning. You can only arrive at night time. So you just book a hotel and we'll pay for it. And it was $250 for one night in a hotel with breakfast, you know, next to Brisbane Airport. I couldn't believe how much hotels cost in Australia. You get $225 just for 9 days. Breakfast, lunch, jokes in the evening, entertainment. Very good value for money. So I don't say you have to pay anymore, just it's the gratitude. I'm very happy that we can give this to everybody. So when you have gratitude, oh, it's wonderful, isn't it beautiful? You get so much happiness. How people just serve and help and sacrifice and stuff. Some of the food comes from the prison. They send it down here. They don't have to. Even they want to make good karma. You see the prisoners, in green, working, putting up this little pagoda over there and just helping out. Isn't it beautiful? People are really doing good things. The whole place is built on goodness. And that gives so much gratitude. But you just meditate here, it's just all the people who looked after this place and built it up. Oh, you feel so happy. And that takes your meditation to another level. You never get bored or dull. You start off with happiness. So get the happiness going. Are we letting go during meditation only, or we have to let go any time in our lives? You let go in meditation, you let go in the toilet. It's very important to let go in the toilet. Otherwise you become constipated. So remember, if you have got indigestion problems and you are constipated, sit in the toilet and just do let go, let go. Renounce all the stuff in your body. Stop attaching to it. So you let go there. You let go when you go past donation box. Where else do you let go in life? When somebody is upset and angry at you, you let that go. That's really important. Any complaints, anger, irritation, please let that go. Any mistakes, let that go. All negativity, that's important to let go. Let that go. Any happiness, any kindness, any gratitude, any joy, attach to it as much as you like. Let go of the rubbish, keep the beauty. If you had sex with your girlfriend before your first jhana, it means we can have our cake and eat it too. Can we? A very good question. Can we still make passionate love in lay life and still meditate? Both are so enjoyable. I don't see why I should renounce making love. Please explain if it's either or we can have both. I told you cheeky questions are okay. Okay. Yeah, that's true. I had sex with my girlfriend, then I had the jhana, and afterwards I wasn't so interested in my girlfriend anymore. So, can you have your cake and eat it too? It doesn't mean having your cake and eating it too. It means, do you just have a sandwich, or do you have a 5-course meal? Which do you prefer? So if you've only eaten sandwiches in your life, that's all you like. So if you've only had sex in your life, that's all you know. Of course, you just have sandwiches. But when you find the secret to 5-course meal of the most delicious food available, much more tasty than sandwiches, who wants sandwiches anymore? So basically that's what happened to me. After I had jhana, that was, my girlfriend didn't have much hope. So that's actually what happens. Basically, if you have the jhanas, you really get into them a lot. I said, I wouldn't have sex for. Jhanas last longer, more delicious, and you don't have babies. Which is a bit of a problem sometimes. Can you please explain how to overcome dullness during meditation? Oh, I've mentioned that already. Just do the kangaroo hop meditation, sit in a different position, do something different. Have gratitude before you start meditation. Inspire yourself. Put some energy in the beginning of the meditation. Take the teddy bear and put it on your head or something when you're meditating. And if it falls off, it means you've been dull and dozy. Whatever it is, I don't care, but play around. Because sometimes it's not just in meditation. Sometimes people are dull in life. Whatever they do. Chanting again. Yo so bhagawa. Lunch again. Cornflakes and toast again. Ajahn Brahm telling the same old jokes. How many times have I heard the coffin joke? Life is so boring. Yay, seeing the sunset. How many times have I seen the bloody sunset? Oh. It's amazing just how in a beautiful place like this, having a lot of fun, people can still be so negative. Is it the sunset's fault? Is it the joke's fault? Yeah, maybe it is, but all the other things, it's your fault. So put a bit of energy and happiness, and then life is not so boring anymore. The Ajahn, in the book on Ajahn Brahm and his practice, it was stated that he is very strict on walking meditation direction, not from south to north, vice versa. Why is it so? Oh, that's really ridiculous. You can walk any direction. And I know some of the stories of Ajahn Brahm because when I was wandering around, the people who were alive at that time were still around. They told me the old stories which aren't in the book. I went to this place. This is Ajahn Brahm's stories, which no one else knows about. Are you interested? Yeah. One of the stories, he was in a part of Thailand called Khao Wong. That was to the north of, the southeast of Sakonnakhon, north of Royet, in sort of an area which is not really well known. There are not many big cities over there in Khao Wong. And in that area there was a few places with some gold, in the mountains. And a lot of people have worked the gold, and there wasn't much left, over many, many years. So Ajahn Brahm and another monk, they were in one of these caves meditating. They found there was still some gold there. So the two of them dug out the gold. Now, monks aren't allowed to touch the stuff, let alone dig it out. He took out the gold and took it to Bangkok and gave it to one of the Chow Kuns in Wat Pawan to make some spectacles for himself, gold-rimmed spectacles. That is a dinky-die story of Ajahn Brahm, not in the book, breaking his Vinaya rules. But of course you don't put that in the book, otherwise, it's not so inspiring. But I like it as inspiring because it was an ordinary monk. He just being kind, bending a few rules, just out of compassion for a monk who needed some specs, in those days. Now that's the sort of monk an Ajahn Brahm really would be. Not strict and saying you have to walk meditation from the south to the north. It doesn't matter what direction you walk in, but it's how you're walking. Are you walking with kindness, with mindfulness, or are you trying to get somewhere? So it does not matter what direction you're walking. And how would you know anyway? You wouldn't have a compass, you wouldn't have GPS, which you have to say, get your GPS before you start walking. So anyway, does Feng Shui play an important role in this meditation practice? I told the Feng Shui joke about putting the furniture against the door. That's the only time Feng Shui has worked, in my experience. We have goals in life. How do we develop non-attachment to life goals? As you explained today, when one goal is complete, we form another goal. Is it possible to live without any goals, if not attachment? What makes goals? Thank you. What makes goals to realize? Thank you. Too many goals in life. And look, what goal are you what are you aiming for in life? Sometimes people ask me here in Perth, what happens to you when you die? And I say, you go to one of three places, Karakata, Pinaroo or Fremantle, which are the three cemeteries or crematoriums in Perth. So that's the only place you're going. That's your only goal in life. That's where you're all going to end up. That's a goal. So your goal in life is to die. That's true, isn't it? All your money you leave behind, family you leave behind, all your achievements you leave behind. So you're going to die. So that's my goal in life, to die. I'm not there yet, but I will get there one day. I think I will realize my goal, to die. All the other goals, what sense does it make? What are you doing these things for? So a lot of times, my goal in life is just to be peaceful, to be kind, to be gentle. So where can I reach that goal? Right now. So my goal is achieved in the present moment, not in the future. So if you have a goal which can be achieved now, then it's something which is important. If it's a goal which is only be reached in the future, basically there'll always be another goal after it. So it's the goal to end things, not to make more things. Otherwise you keep going and going. What is your goal in life anyway? Some people say, I want to make enough money so I can retire. I retired at 23. How much money did I need to retire? Nothing. So what are you working for? What is your goal in life? And if you get it, so what? What do you want in life? Do you want to be a millionaire? I know many millionaires. They hate it. Do you want to be famous? I'm pretty famous these days. It sucks. It really does. I mean, just coming back from Indonesia, just getting out of the airport was difficult. There was 30 or 40 Indonesians. They were going from Jakarta to Burma on some sort of retreat or pilgrimage. As soon as they saw me, Ajahn Brahm, Ajahn Brahm, and they insisted on taking photos, not all together, one at a time. And I was tired, I wanted to get out and just have a rest. And people waiting for me. You know, it's Jerry and I forget who else, and Upal. They wondered what happened to me. The plane had landed half an hour ago. Where were you? You know, I got kidnapped by Indonesians. Or even worse, when I was in Hong Kong, giving a talk, you know, in a big auditorium, 1,000, 1,500 people or something like that. And after the question time, people coming up, signing books and asking questions. I'm a monk, I'm a man, I needed to go to the toilet. They just wouldn't let me go. I just want just one more photo, just one more. And when there's about 200 people say just one more, that's a long time. Finally, at last, I got into the toilet at the jockey club at Poly U in Hong Kong. Finally got in there. And as soon as I got in there, this man had just finished washing his hands. He turned around, Ajahn Brahm, can I take a photo, please? In the toilet. No peace at all. So, would you really want to be famous? It was terrible. So don't be famous, don't be rich, be poor. That's the best. So you've not got too much money. You don't have to worry about things. As long as you've got enough to pay the bills, that's all. And just be yourself. So what do you want to attain anyway? All happiness is in the present moment. So all goals should be focused in the moment. That's my goal in life. How do you develop non-attachment to life goals? Non-attachment is my goal. The goal of no goals. As you explained today, when one goal is complete, we form another goal. Yeah. So have the goal of no more goals. Oh my goodness. My goal was to finish at 9 o'clock and now it's 9:15. Can you please explain the difference and similarity between Theravada and Mahayana traditions? Theravada wear brown, Mahayana wear grey. That's it. Enough. So, these days, Mahayana and Theravada, we're so close together. And when I went to Hong Kong, I was in this monastery. There were Theravada monks, Mahayana monks, all sitting around together, meditating, doing exactly the same things. And it's wonderful to see that. The Mahayana and Theravada can actually get along. Vajrayana, Tibetan monks and nuns, they're a bit snooty. They always think they're the best vehicle. But Mahayana and Theravada, we get on really well together now. So which is wonderful, that we can have actually harmony and peace between people. So when I went last week to the Australia Sangha Association, there had lots of Mahayana monks and Theravada monks all working together, which is great. So Mahayana and Theravada, basically we follow the same Buddha, pretty much the same teachings, same sutras, same arguments. So it's really beautiful. We can actually live together in each other's monasteries and have a great time together. Isn't that wonderful? And we never say that my tradition is better than your tradition. That's called conceit, ego, and pride. So if anyone says, Ajahn Brahm's method of meditation is the very best, that's conceit and pride. So don't actually say anything. The only one which is the best is the Buddha's meditation. You can say that. So don't form cults. Don't form sort of ours is better than yours. You may prefer this type of meditation, just like I prefer bangers and mash for lunch. But it doesn't mean you don't eat other food. So this is actually the way, Mahayana Theravada, or whatever it is. Please don't be so conceited and say, I am Theravada. I follow the original teachings of the Buddha. You Mahayana scallywags. You just made it up afterwards. You're not real. Well, the Mahayana said, oh, you Theravada monks, you are so selfish, just interested in your own enlightenment. We're bodhisattvas, we help others. I said, what do you think I've been doing the last 10 years? Going around the world. I remember this nun, she's a very nice, good friend, Yifa. The monks of Bodhinyana Monastery call her Yiha, because that's what she's like. She's a very outspoken nun. And when she came for a conference last time, sort of I asked her, I said, how many disciples have you got? How many people have you teaching? She said, none, I just go by myself everywhere. I said, look, I've got many, many disciples, and you're supposed to be bodhisattva. You should be sacrificing yourself to others like I am. And she agreed. He said, okay, I'm really Theravada, and Ajahn Brahm, you're Mahayana. And it's actually true. So who's Mahayana, who's Theravada? Actually, there's no difference, really. You can see just in my life, example, and all the lives of other sort of Theravada monks like Ajahn Chah, going out into the world, tiring yourself out, teaching and teaching and teaching and teaching for the happiness and benefit of all other beings. That's being a bodhisattva. So, is Theravada the way of the bodhisattva? Looks like it, doesn't it? So basically, every time you're kind, you're Mahayana. Every time you're peaceful, you're Theravada. And if you're kindful, you're both. So this is kindfulness. So to end up, it's not Mahayana, it's not Hinayana, it's not Vajrayana. My tradition combines the very best of all three. The H from Hinayana, the Aha from Mahayana, and the Yana from Vajrayana. And what does that spell? Yes, that's my Yana, the Hahayana. Ha 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 ha. Okay, that's enough for this evening. Pretty late, 9:18. So 3 Hahayana sadhus. Sadhu, 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 ha 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 ha, Yana.